Today, what we want to talk about is what is Vesta? How does it help those going through separation and divorce and post-divorce? And what does it do for you as the professional? What are the value propositions for everybody in this? Vesta's been around since 2013. It started out in New England, actually in Newton, Massachusetts, which is a suburb west of Boston. And back then, it was just one, what we call hubs. So that's why I ask where everybody lives. It's because we deal with geographic hubs. Now, there's no brick and mortar. Everything that we do today is on Zoom. And so it is really just about how do we market to various events. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we started out in Newton, and it was really one professional at a time. And then over a period of time, we started to expand it, and we expanded across the country into California, all across into Chicago, and now we're building one in Arizona and New York and Florida and New Jersey, all different places, all of New England, and continue to do. And we really like to find quality professionals, and they go through a very stringent vetting process in order to join Vesta. I would tell you that we're not first. So if this feels like, oh, I wanted what they're not, then this is not the right place for you. So what we're not is just one of these hangout business networking groups. We're not a business networking group. There is networking that goes on, and it's because we work together in a lot of ways, collaboratively, not contractually, but collaboratively. So it's not really that. It's something in a much larger scale. And secondly, we're not a lead generation firm. You're not here to buy leads from us. Yeah, you are going to receive introductions to people, and you're going to do business with them. That's great. That's a great thing. But if you're coming here to pay for leads, then you're missing the point of what Vesta actually does. And just to forewarn you, that's who we are and who we're not. And so over the years, we have continued to expand and looked at ways of being able to really support people going through the divorce process. And if you've been through a divorce, you understand the impact of divorce, and those that are working in it also understand the impact. But the impact of divorce really is just not through the individual couple. It's really far reaching into families and friends and into workplaces, et cetera, and costs and mental health issues and physical health issues and everything along with those things. What is Vesta? We consider ourselves to be all things divorce. And what I mean by that is that we have resources and professionals and products and services that can really help people at any stage of the divorce process. We really feel by educating people in a way that they understand the divorce process and having that education coming from the vetted professionals that we have and connecting them to those vetted professionals really does create an environment where a person can make a sound, rational, and healthy decision, and in that way that they're empowered to do. So you just heard me talking a little bit about hubs. That's what we call our locations. So we have a hub. It's like a bunch of San Diego people, but we have a hub in San Diego. And so in that hub, or all the hubs across the United States, we have to have certain types of professionals to first engage and open that hub. And that's what we call our core professionals. And these core professionals are made up of typically two legal professionals, one litigator, one mediator. Some have another legal professional as in collaborative law. So you could see one, two, or three, but they all have their lanes. So we have a couple of attorneys here, and they both have their own lanes. That's how they coexist in those areas, and they can coexist and actually work together in those ways and deal with clients in a much healthier way. One financial person, that financial person has to be a certified divorce financial analyst. There's no exceptions to the rule on that. We find that certification is used in every single divorce. So that's why we love the certification. The certification is sound. It provides real good education in the ability to deal with the real necessities of dealing with division of assets and looking at the spousal support, child support, et cetera. So those things are really important. One real estate person, one mortgage person, they have designations in the divorce area. We don't require them. And the reason we don't require them is that we find they don't have the punch. So we don't 100% think they're the best. I'd actually think that if a real estate or mortgage person was a certified divorce financial analyst, it would be far more powerful for them, but not required in those areas. And then at least one therapist or divorce coach as a part of the hub. And that would create our core professionals. And these core professionals are there because virtually all divorces need some kind of legal assistance, probably going to need some financial assistance. They might need real estate and mortgage, and usually need some kind of emotional or organizational support as well. And so that in most instances, they're going to be used. However, there are lots of other types of professionals as well. These are what we call the specialists. And these aren't all of them. This is just a sampling of them, but it could be a college planner, a business valuator, a real estate attorney, or a career transitional person, parenting coaches, etc. These, if there are no children in the divorce, then we don't need that college planner and probably don't need the parenting coach. And if there's no business, we don't need the business valuator. However, if they do, those things may become very important. We don't see any professional more important than the other. Bottom line, this used to be an attorney's business, not an attorney's business from our perspective. It is a client business and what are their individual needs that they need to get through their particular divorce process. But the key to this hub is really understanding the value of the hub brings. It's not just, oh, we have a client, lawyer gets to talk to that client or the real estate person, etc. It's more about how do we work in a collaborative way? And again, not contractually. How do I get to know? How does the financial person get to know these attorneys really well and be able to say, how do we work together better? Not just and this is where the business networking piece is, but it's much different. In this process, there may be one client in here that gets to work with all 6 of these people or in more. And the thing that's great about them is that everybody's staying in their lane so well that the client gets serviced tremendously, and it really does support each other going through the process. So we train this, we interview to it. We really look for people that can really understand that kind of model where collaboration, where it works for not only them as a professional, but their clients as well. So we have these hubs, and they're, again, geographic. We don't put one hub on top of another hub. We have five hubs in Southern California. Probably we don't have any in Northern California because we haven't gone there yet. But we could probably have 20 to 25 hubs in California, maybe more. And so that's how we design them. And by the way, I didn't mention that if you do want to ask a question during the presentation, just unmute yourself and ask a question, and I'll be glad to stop and clarify anything that I'm saying here. But I will save time at the end to answer any and all questions that you have. This symbol here is really the yellow dot in the middle is the client. And our goal is to educate them, connect them to highly vetted professionals, and empower them to make sound, rational, and healthy decisions. Surrounding them with these professionals, these collaborative in nature professionals, this legal sleeve. Yeah, we have the litigator, mediator, collaborative attorneys, but there may also be real estate. There may be bankruptcy attorneys. There may also be estate planning attorneys that are associated and needed in this area. On the financial side, we talked about the CDFA. Well, that could be applied to the financial advisor. From my perspective, I think it's really important to have a financial advisor be a CDFA, and they are the biggest strength of a CDFA, being a CDFA, versus having an attorney be a CDFA versus a CPA being a CDFA. And here's why. When you are dividing assets and you're looking at assets for these clients, it's really important to understand what the assets are. You may have generalized terms on mutual fund, stock, or bond, but there can be some assets within those asset classes and other asset classes that may require further education. Dealing with real estate investment trust. It might look like a great investment on the outside. Wow, I've made 20% a year for the last 10 years in that. Great. In the divorce, when you get it, you may not be able to liquidate that asset for another 10 years. And if you need income, that is the last asset that you want in your portfolio. The attorney, CPA, they're going to have to do tremendous amounts of digging to uncover that, even if they know how to uncover it. So we tend to think that it's really important. It doesn't mean that a CPA can't be involved in the financial because we want them there. As a matter of fact, I have a CDFA that works in my firm. I have a CDFA firm myself that includes pension valuators, business valuators, all CDFAs that are associated with it in order to support the clients, including divorce coaches as well in there. But also in the financial sleeve are the real estate, the mortgage, bankruptcy, credit people that are dealing with budgetary areas and looking at that. I can't emphasize the need for budgetary areas, especially as the divorces come to an end, or in the process of trying to figure out whether you're making a good decision in signing that divorce agreement, is to understand your budgets now and post-divorce. And then the last series, the emotional side, therapists, divorce coaches, career transitional people, and parenting coaches, et cetera, fit into that sleeve. And again, all of these people are trying to work collaboratively together in that process. Let's see here. Next is when we get to actually looking at the value propositions. So the client, they come, they get educated, and they're going to get educated at events that you're going to see in a minute. And they get support from Vesta. Vesta has as a concierge service. It's free to the clients. So they can talk to a concierge, really get some very good information there, and they're supportive. They come to all different types of events. We have many topics that we present on. But for you as a professional, there are many different value propositions. As a matter of fact, this presentation used to have now it would be 5 more pages of all the listed value propositions that we would have on there. And they're still there, except most clients, most professionals would come in and forget most of them. So what we did was we said, we want to make sure that these 3 value propositions are important to you. If they're not, this is not the right place for you. It's not about to push you away or anything. I just don't want you to waste your time. If this is not valuable to you, then go away, and love to talk to you in the future about other things. But the first one is, for me, the most important one. And it's called the vetting of the professionals and what the hub does. So having a hub with vetted professionals and all that comes with it. The second one is marketing and co-branding. We tend to overkill and when it comes to our marketing and content and co-branding, and sometimes overwhelm professionals with how much we have and how to use them. And we actually have some meetings on a regular basis to really help you with that. And then lastly is our concierge area, which is what we classify as our cherry on top. They're the ones that are taking care of a lot of things around our events, and then with the clients that are coming through the educational events, and you'll hear more about them. So these are the 3 most important pillars that we think, and again, if none of them ring home to you, probably not the right place for you. So here's the first one, the vetting professionals in hub culture. And so what do we do when we vet a professional? First of all, there's an hour and 20 to an hour and a half long application. No exaggeration. We don't want yes and no answers. We are truly interested in understanding you and your business and what your motivations are, who your right clients are, and what you're ultimately looking for to get from Vesta. So we want to understand you. We want to understand what kind of clients really fit your niche. And so that's really important. Then you'll have an interview with a senior management person from Vesta, have background checks. We have our own background check that we do. We don't really care that you've had background checks with anybody else. And if you want to supply them, that we're not interested in that. We do all the same for all of our professionals. And then after that, there'll be some training before you could actually get into the process of actually presenting or meeting with any of the referrals or introductions that we make for you. What are we looking for in those professionals? Well, we call them the 3 C's. And the 3 C's, are they competent in what they do? Are they collaborative in nature? And are they compassionate in nature? So finding those 3 C's is hard. The competency, sure, we can find a financial advisor that's competent, a lawyer, a mortgage professional. All of them are competent in what they do. But are they competent in what they do for divorce? As I'm sure the lawyers know here, 60% of all divorces are done by attorneys that don't specialize in divorce. It's just about anybody. A divorce is easy. No, it's not. It might be easy, but there's some things that are really important. So we want to make sure we find professionals that this is their business. And that's really important to us. Are they collaborative in nature? As we mentioned before, do they understand the value of the other professionals and what they can bring for the client going through that process, and what the value it brings to you? Because that client is going to see you in a better light as well. If you've got a financial advisor, CDFA, that is really supporting you and understands all the nuances and doing a lot of the work that's just not really your bailiwick, then you've found a real value for you. And then lastly, the compassionate area. We have a sniff test for it. It's part of the interview process, but it comes out and it's interesting. Yeah, and occasionally 1 or 2 professionals slip by that because they know how to interview really well with us. But it's really important. The clients sniff it out and it's not really good. So we've really strived to make sure that people are truly interested in seeing people get through the divorce process as smoothly as possible. Then lastly, again, the hub culture, it's the training and the practices that we use between the professionals in order to really generate a camaraderie, how we play off each other. We had one of our mediators, attorney mediators in Boston. He's actually on our advisory board. He retired, and his last presentation was last night. And it's when you can be in a group for 10, 12, 13 years, and you just play off each other's practices. You work on cases together. It becomes really powerful and a strength for you as a part of that. So that's what we really look for in the hub. Because of COVID, there were a lot of bad things that happened with COVID, lots of them. Don't get me going. But there were a lot of good things that came from hub culture, which was we shifted all of our presentations from 100% in person to 100% Zoom. Occasionally a hub says, oh yeah, we'd like to do it in person, and they realize how much work it is and that you get a lower turnout than you do with Zoom and all of that. And they go, nah, let's stick with Zoom. But we think that it's imperative that our hubs get together, physically get together, get to meet with each other, get to know each other personally, not every night, not every week, once in a while, like once a month, once a quarter at worst case. To really connect and do that, it really does pay dividends in the long run. As a part of this whole first pillar are our events. Our events are the mainstay of Vesta. Since the beginning, we have been presenting how people go through divorce, the nuts and bolts, and mistakes to avoid, lots of different areas. And what kind of event types do we have? As I just mentioned, the two top ones that we had since the beginning are the ABCs of divorce, which is a 30,000-foot view, nuts and bolts of divorce, and the top 10 mistakes and how to avoid them. So they're really important. They're designed for general knowledge, but they're designed to generate questions from the clients. The more that the clients engage, the more likely are that they're going to work with you. And then we also have many different topic-specific presentations, like Gray Divorce. Gray Divorce is an enormous one. One of the people here today in attendance talked about narcissism. Yeah. One of the heaviest turnout events that we have is on narcissism. And it's always interesting to see 150 or people sign up and 99 show up for it, which is unheard of on the Zoom world. Zoom is a 30%, 31% show up rate on who registers on a Zoom. So to see the registration to be very high. And it's also interesting to know that like probably half the people in the room are narcissists. It's interesting to watch, but it's not important about why they're showing up. We just care that they do show up. And quite frankly, we almost don't even care whether they show up or not. And you're going to hear why in a minute. We really care about who registers because we gather all their information. And one of the great things about the divorce marketplace is they need your help. They don't show up because they're not getting divorced. They don't show up because they're thinking about getting divorced 20 years down the line, like it's their retirement or something. And if they don't, this is not it. These are people that are going through one of the most, if not the most difficult life transition they'll ever go through. And so they show up, and that's why they don't show. If they don't show up, we've got their information, and our concierge is in constant contact with those people, whether they're showing up or not. And so those are the event types. Webinars, we have a couple of different types. We have webinars that are on demand, which means they're available 7 days, 24 hours a day. Typically of the boilerplate presentations here. But if your hub really wanted to create a different type of webinar, we could do that. We tend to think of really short subjects and having them available on our website as well. So these are constantly there and promoting you and your hub. And then we have our live webinar. So each hub on a monthly basis we do one live webinar a month. We used to, believe it or not, do 3 live webinars for every hub every single month. We were at one point doing 75 presentations a month. And then we changed our marketing a little bit to do 1 live event, and we're generating more people than we were doing when we had 3 live events. So really powerful. And it's a great place, again, a great place for you to speak and get to be seen. And I'll give you a tip right now. When you're working and you have professionals that are working with you in an event, remember that you're always presenting to the professionals first, not to the clients. And the reason I say that is because the professionals are going to listen to you. They're going to hear you and going, I like that way that person speaks. I want to work with them more. I like how they run their business. And that's how you build a real collaborative relationship. In addition, we send out reports. There are different times sent. They usually have been quarterly. Sometimes we do them more. Sometimes we do a little bit less, but they're really focused in on how many registrants have come to the hub. How many introductions have we made to you as well? Each hub is unique. The geographic location is unique. The languaging is unique. Like, for instance, this is the Boston hub. You see that's the Boston Common in the financial district in Boston. And over here, you see a couple of attorneys. Both of these attorneys have been with us. The gentleman he's the longest standing attorney. He's been with us almost 12 years. And Lisa has been with us, so I think 10 years. And they both used to work for the same firm, which was Burns and Levinson, and they no longer work for Burns and Levinson. As a matter of fact, Burns and Levinson, which was not the number one divorce firm in all of New England, size-wise and dollars and everything else, is no longer. It's amazing how fast a legal firm can do itself in. Anyway, great people that we have with us. And the thing that I want you to notice is that not only are they there and they both work for different companies here, the branding is the same. We want people because the clients are receiving this, and they have the law section, the financial section, divorcing, everything will be listing all of you out in your bios. And not only, we want them to see that our professionals work together and they get used to that. But when you click on Lisa's website, boom, all of her branding comes up and so forth. So it's all designed for the client to see us working together. The presentations. Here are some examples. We put these all together. You don't have to memorize any of this. As a matter of fact, you attorneys here, if you don't know any of this on here, we're talking to the wrong attorneys. This is really the most basic of all basic stuff. And it should be just simple. It's right at the top of your head. We don't tell you how to read it and what to read. What we are telling you on these lists is this is what clients are coming to our events they're curious about. You should address these things because they're only going to bring up more questions to you. And that's what you want is clients to talk to you about anything. So another area, again, this is all first about the whole first pillar. Remember the value propositions. This is all part of the first pillar. The languaging, part of the training that we'll give you is about talking about different types of languaging. One of the big things here is something called, am I going to be okay? Every single person going through divorce, no matter how much money they have, whether it's conscious or subconscious, is thinking about, am I going to be okay? What is this going to look like? I can't imagine this. Even if it's a second divorce and they've gone through it once and they see what's going on, it's going through their mind. And the sooner you can get them to be at ease with this, the easier the process will be for them and for you as professionals. And there are many different types of languaging that we go through and teach you. The second pillar is our marketing and co-branding. So the events, we heard about these live events and the events that are 7 days, 24 hours, the videos on demand. We use various marketing platforms, and it's different for every location. Like, for instance, I always ask does anybody know what a patch is? And most people don't. Patch is like in California would be next door. And so and then in some places people have patch and next door. And sometimes there are others. We found that patch in some areas are really successful. But we use all these different areas in order to figure out what is the right place to be able to market our events. So also part of the marketing, we talked about the post videos on demand. So we do that and have them available. We create the event graphics for this. We have a Vesta website of which you'll be a part of. And you'll supply to us a good headshot, not off an iPhone, a professional looking headshot, and a grammatically correct bio. I say that and emphasize that because you would not believe what we get for bios, and we won't post them. We used to get them and then fix them for people. We don't have the time or the manpower to do that for you. So you must provide a grammatically correct bio. It's because it's you. It's representing you. You'll get, we put the hub directories together. We also promote that professionals can put an intro video on the website. So if you want to do a website, I highly recommend doing that. It's amazing how many don't do that, but I just highly recommend doing it so that when they come to their website, they see the bio, there's a place to click on your video and you get to say, hey, this is Bob, and let me tell you how I help you. Let me tell you how I'm going to answer the question, am I going to be okay? Or whatever it may be that you do. And then lastly, as we mentioned before, we promote all the social media events. You'll receive a professional toolkit that lists all the content and like badges and things that you can do for marketing and branding. We are always looking to build our professional content library. Help us fill it up. That is, the more people that fill it up, the more uses that you will have for it as well. If you want to do a blog, can't emphasize how important they are. They're a pain in the neck to do because it requires you to think, it requires you to write, it requires you to get it all lined up and get it to us. But we will post it, we will market that blogging. And blogging does work for the individual, it really does. We also send out attendee newsletters and emails. We call them attendee, but it's attendee/registrant. So everybody gets our newsletters and email. And that is a very successful piece of marketing that we do. We get lots of business from those emails. So after a person comes to one of our events, that's why the registration is so important. We get all of their information. They are now receiving our emails and newsletters on a regular basis. The great thing, again, about divorce is that they open them up, they read them. It's about their divorce. They're worried about it. They're really always trying to figure out how to deal with that. And then also, over the years, as people get divorced, then they become post-divorce candidates as well. And obviously, there's lots of post-divorce work that can be done. Media outreach. If you know of anybody that's in the media, whether it's in TV, radio, the print, podcast, get us involved. We'll do them for you, or we'll get you prepared to do them as well. The last thing in this area that I talk about is you helping us to help you. And what we look for is for you to create a list of people that are in these categories, whether it's religious, government, but the big ones are the religious, marriage counselors, therapists, and spa and hairstylists. Get a list of those people that is a name and email address, and we will market to them and saying, hey, we're Vesta, you have a hub in San Diego, and these are the resources, and invite them to enjoy in our marketing. So we really think it's important because this group of people, this group of organizations, they're the ones that are hearing about divorce long before sometimes their spouses are hearing about divorce. So these are really key areas. But help us. We don't have the bandwidth to go into every geographic location and do that because there is some handwork to be done, especially in the therapist, marriage counselor areas. On to our third area, our concierge. And our concierge, I always say that they do God's work. They are really listening. They to lots of calls of people going through divorce. And I know the attorneys and those that you are working with, people going through divorce, that can be a real energy suck, a lot, because it's constantly about telling their story. This is the patience that these people have. They've all been through their own divorces, and they have great backgrounds, whether it being financial, legal, therapeutic sides, and are able to guide them, not fix them, but guide them in the process. This is a free service to them. They don't have to do X to get Y. It is send an email, give us a call, and they will talk to them. And ultimately, what the goal of the concierge is to actually make sure that they're helping the person and hopefully finding the right people to actually introduce to you. And you'll see what kind of information they get to send to you when they do that. And I'll be up in a minute. Everything that comes into Vesta, whether it's from the videos on demand, we have a divorce navigator, the events, websites, marketing, and we have a future membership coming in, that when that leads come in from that comes into Vesta, it's concierge. They handle all of that. And then Vesta does not have a revenue model that actually makes any money from any of the people going through separation and divorce. That is all sent out to you, the professionals, as an introduction that hopefully that you can actually make revenue from. So we don't have that model. Everything comes in from into Vesta, goes out to you. And so what's the value to you in that? First, if you provide to us a calendar link to your calendar and say, yeah, these are the 5 times that you can use to fill appointments with, they will set up appointments for you when they're talking to these clients directly into your calendar. So coming in from the weekend, you look at your calendar on Monday and say, oh, I've got an appointment on Wednesday at 1 o'clock with Mrs. Jones. So that's really a great thing. And sometimes some people don't want to give us these calendars, but you'll see how we handle that as well. But the goal is to really free up more of your time so that you're actually working and with clients versus doing more prospecting marketing. And you will know that when you are meeting with these clients, you're going to be more prepared than any referral that you get. And the reason is that concierge does a great job obtaining information. They also are dealing with the events. So prior to the events, they're sending out emails and texts, and know that it says 24 hours and 4 hours. Mandy, I don't know if she's still on the call here today, but she's texting out 10 minutes before, 5 minutes afterwards, 10 minutes afterwards an event has started. So constantly staying in contact with them. to get people to come to the event. On the post-event side, they're sending out the emails to all of the attendees that showed up and thanking them. And then they're also sending out emails to all of the registrants. And they do that all with their goal is to get it all done within the 48 hours after the event. And then ultimately, they continue to follow up regularly with all of the attendees and registrants in order to keep them in the loop and hopefully get them to you in some level. So what kind of referrals, not what kind, but what processes do they use? Well, one, as just mentioned, right into your calendar. Is that the best? I think so. I think I like that. That's what I want for me. It can also be via an email, a warm email introduction where the concierge and the professional and the client are all in the same email. That works extremely well. And we teach people how to do that. It's not just, hey, Bob, here's Mrs. Jones. Have a nice day. There is definitely a much greater approach in order to refer some people in. And then also by sending the professional the client's information, and then the professional will reach out person on the way they do it. And before I say anything there, just know that if you don't respond to a person going through divorce within 24 hours, I can guarantee you that person who has told our concierge they want to talk to you. We do not give you people that do not say, have them call me. We don't have them call me. We do not do that. So you get people, if you don't get to them within 24 hours, they're like squirrels. They're looking in another direction. They're going through the most difficult life transition they've ever gone through, and they desperately don't want to feel that feeling anymore. So this is why it's important. We had an attorney in California who thought it was okay to have 35 introductions sitting on his desk, and he would get to one at a time, 1 or 2 a week. Not going to work. So it's really important. They actually study sell as 6 hours within the first 6 hours. If it's not you, have your assistant reach out and just say, Bob is not available right now. He will definitely want to talk to you. Is Tuesday or Wednesday better? Just to make sure they're in contact. And then lastly is by giving the client, the professional's information. We all know that by giving the client information, what's the likelihood of them calling? It's higher than everybody else because they want help, but it's still the lowest one on the totem pole. But you know that the yellow people here are being flagged by our concierge, and they'll reach out again and say, hey, I gave you Bob's information a week ago. Did you able to reach out to him? No, I haven't, and so forth. You know what? Bob has an availability tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Let me just put you into his calendar. And they're like, yeah. And it's all a matter of timing around these clients going through divorce. Sometimes it's just, I'm not ready in that specific moment. And then something happens during the week and they're going, yep, I'm ready. There's definitely a shift. A concierge develops lots of information. You're seeing half of a page of maybe 2 or 3 pages that you receive. You get a lot of general information about the person, their family makeup, the stage of divorce they're in, are they currently looking for an attorney, all of these things. Then there'll be another page that says, hey, this is what the divorce is what's going on in the divorce, what's the divorce all about? Why are they separating? What are the issues and so forth? Our attorneys tell our concierge regularly that the information they receive for their first call with them is more detailed than their first consultation. They use information they get. So you get a lot of strong information as a part of this process. And then it's up to you to deal with that. And if you can't figure that out, then you got to really figure out maybe something is not working right. If it's not working right, there's plenty of people within Vesta that can help you be able to say, tell me what you're doing. How are you doing it? What are you saying? And like the attorney in California who was complaining that our leads were not good, but he wasn't acting on them on a timely basis. Those kind of things are really important. Referrals, again, I think a lot of people think referrals are easy. No, first of all, most people say they do referrals and they really don't. And then the second part is it's knowing how to do them, and we will help you learn how to do that. This is for bringing on a full hub. That's nobody here that we're going to deal with, but here's how our system works. Forget about the middle tier here, tier 2. We are not building to tier 2 at this moment. That's coming down the line, but it's on our schedule. What we talked about here today is Vesta's tier 1 level. That is our hub level. And our hub level includes everything that we talked about. It includes the marketing, the co-branding, the events, professional development programs that we will have, and referrals or introductions by our Vesta concierge out to you. It includes the other vetting of the other professionals, all of that included in there. And all the marketing costs associated with it, we deal with all of those. And the cost for the professional is different depending on your profession. So for legal, a divorce mediator, the financial CDFA, real estate, mortgage people, that's $500 a month. And for the others, divorce coaches, therapists, a CPA, that's an accountant slash or a CDFA that is non-financial advisor, then they're $250 a month. And lots of the specialties are in that kind of range. But so that's for the hub. And that is, you in the real estate business probably know, oh God, I'm forgetting his name, but this guy that does a lot of coaching for the real estate industry, and he's out of California, great guy, and got a massive business. And we've been talking about actually doing some things together. And he said, for what we do, we should at worst case be spending $1,500-$1,600 a month from other professionals. We're not interested in creating a consulting business and so forth. We are interested in it, getting people help through the process. We keep it at these low prices and we're okay with that. Tier 3 is different. Tier 3 is where we don't have a hub. So we don't have a hub in New Mexico, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure we don't. But we may have an attorney or a CDFA or somebody that's there and that's in the divorce marketplace, wants to take advantage of our marketing and co-branding, wants to take advantage of our other professionals that are in the organization. And so what we have is an annualized payment. Right now it's $600 a month. That is changing as of the beginning of the year, going up to over $1,000. I think it's $1,200 that we're doing. But that's what they're for. Now, you still are involved in the marketing. Are we directly marketing into New Mexico in a specific geographic location? No. However, when you go to the events, people will see that people are coming from, if you're in the San Diego hub, there's people from Florida and Texas and Ohio, and they're all coming into our area. And so if there's a person that comes in from New Mexico, we're sending it down to you if you're in that location. The other reason we use a tier 3 is because there is a person down there that wants to build a hub. And we're all for that. But we're not going to build that. We're not going to put that hub in place until, again, we have those other professionals in line. And so that does help that professional actually create some momentum because of the marketing that we are doing there for them. So those are the two areas. You'll get this document and you'll get this document, which is all the individual pieces associated with it. Mandy will be sending those. She may already have sent them out to you or they're going to be out in the next day, but you'll get that document to take a look at. Again, the three big pillars are the vetted professionals and the hub, and that hub culture and building a cohesive, collaborative culture. And quite frankly, you could come into a hub that's in existence and be the new person in, and you can become an instant important piece to that by motivating people. Let's change this. Let's do something a little bit different. And this is how we can really make our presentation better. All different ways of doing that. How do we actually work together, collaborate a little bit better? It's actually in your hands to be able to do that as well. And if you need Vesta's assistance, we're here to help as well in that. The marketing and co-branding, we'll inundate you, but it's good. We like that. We like that people think we're giving them too much. We help you sort that out and what works best for you. And that, of course, our last area is our concierge. And we always I did an event last night where I presented, and I always talk about the getting to Vesta's concierge for the clients. I said, if you get nothing, forget about the event tonight. You don't even hear anything from the event. Go to vestadivorce.com and go to concierge. They're there to support you. And they do a phenomenal job with the testimonials we get for the support our concierge does is amazing. But ultimately, the goal is that they're going to be comfortable enough with Vesta, with our concierge, to be able to work with you, the professionals. And again, and also your next steps really are to fill out an application, and that is the presentation. I hope this was helpful and educational, and Mandy will be reaching out to you and hope to speak to all of you at some point in time in the future. So have a great day and a great weekend.